Blockchain Center. This is Blocktalk.
Okay, jadi just to clarify, this is a bilingual event. So our panelists and our speakers will be talking apa ya bahasanya? Between languages, like switching between bahasa Indonesia and English. For anybody that has trouble keeping up, it's fine because our YouTube will be having subtitles later, so you can catch up on that. Okay, now for our panelists today, we have Pak Gede Anta, coordinator of Baliola and coordinator of Bali Blockchain Center and CEO of Baliola. Please take the stage, sir. And then we have Zian, the head developer. No, you're a developer of Mandala Chain. Come and join us in the stage. Okay, guys. So glad to have you here. Sadly, we only have 2 microphones, so we're just going to have to harus ganti-gantian nih kita. Oke, jadi sebelum kita mulai, aku ingin memperkenalkan lebih jauh lagi sedikit. Pak Anta adalah koordinator dari Bali Blockchain Center, CEO dari Baliola, dan juga co-founder dari Mandala Chain. Serta kita ada Zian di sini, di mana dia adalah Polkadot Developer Heroes. Sedikit berbeda dari Polkadot Ambassador ya. Kalau Polkadot Ambassador itu lebih ke lebih ke non teknisnya lah kasih, lebih ada di sana, ada di publik, mempromosikan Polkadot. Sedangkan kalau developer heroes itu lebih ke teknisnya ya, developnya dan segala macam ya. Oke, bisa tolong memperkenalkan diri lebih jauh, mulai dari siapa nih? Pak Anta, dari Zian? Pak Anta kali ya.
Hello all. Thank you for coming. Before, maybe we can use in 2 language. Hello, come from here. Okay. May I introduce myself? My name is Gede Putrama Desanta, or called Gede Anta. I am the coordinators of Bali Blockchain Centers and also CEO of Baliola and the co-founders of Mandala Chain. So we are here. Bali Blockchain Center is a collaboration between community, Baliola, and also the government of Denpasar, and we're creating the centers of research and education, information, collaboration, community, and incubation for Web3 project. And in our centers also, we have a signed agreement 2 weeks ago with Polkadot Hub. So in around the world, we are the first Polkadot Hub in around the world now. So it's already official, and there is on our Twitters, Blockchain Bali. You can see it on our Twitter. So yeah.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Gungzan Fusuma, that you can call me Zian, but I'm the current leader of software engineering lead at Baliola, and also the current blockchain developer lead for Mandala Chain. And yep, I think that's some pretty much all of it.
That's pretty much it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Okay, so to begin, could one of you or each web responsible briefly explain in simple layman terms what ZKP or zero knowledge proofs is? Would like to start?
Okay, I was using in a simple language, maybe because I'm not a highly technical guy. So if we're talking about data protection, or there is we want to relieving or revealing our information. Sometimes it's can give us a harmful for our information. For example, like what is happening in Indonesia now, we had a lot of problem about the data protection and also our identity breach. So there is a lot of data and identity breach. For example, our KTP, our identity card, that some is using for having pinjol or online online platform, lending platform, and people can use it for a lot of bad thing. It's already happening. We have a case of your card. It is breaching our data, and then maybe the government or the organization they're using our data, such as a bank or organization that a public organization, they have the regulation about protecting our data. But the problem is we cannot guarantee that the people that working there following this rule. Indonesia already have the rules of ITE and data protection. But to comply on compliance on that, there is like a low standard of that using it. So ZKP is, in my perspective, it's like a mechanisms to revealing or giving information to other party without revealing all of our identity or without revealing all of the data that we have. So it's like, it's like giving it without saying that I am, without showing your face. It's just like when I'm in ZKP, where when someone wants to ask our data, we go to the verifiers, then say that you are verified that I am the real, the data is real, and then it's get to the one that want to use our data. So this is what they call ZKP, zero knowledge proof. So it's a zero knowledge information, but it's proving this is true. So maybe there is from me. Maybe Zian will elaborate more.
Okay, well, this in simple terms, ZKP is basically when you give out information. When you reveal a statement for a particular information without revealing the information itself. So let's say, well, in analogy, let's say you want to open a locked door, but without, let's say there's a people like, okay, I have the key for this door, but without showing you actually have the key. And also imagine where you are be able to log into your website without typing your password, things like that. I think that's simple terms.
Wow, that is very complicated. No,
It's really complicated.
it's very
basically.
complicated. I
Yes,
mean, I
yeah.
understand the concept of it, but it's also a very complicated concept to execute. Amazing. Okay, but speaking of that, because it's so complicated, right? Are there any real world use cases? I mean, like, that's like particularly interesting, where ZKPs on Polkadot could have a significant impact.
Yeah, maybe you first.
Okay. Well, I think the most, or maybe most sane or most practical implementation of this technology is, in Indonesia at least, is KTP. So we, there's lots of fields in KTP, right? There's your name, there's your age, there's your birth, and all that. And we can incorporate that into a ZKP, like you protect the data with ZKP. So let's say you go to the institution in Indonesia, right? And let's say they only need your name, not your age, or maybe not your where do you live, things like that. And so you see where this applies is where you can actually give like the statement. Let's say my name is let's say Ziad, but without actually showing your card. So you only giving the statement that what is your name, and that statement is true, without revealing any other information, such as like where do you live, your date of birth, things like that. I think that's the most practical application for this.
So I just have questions. Is it like, for example, in BPJS, where you only have to say your BPJS number without revealing the name or the date of birth and everything else?
Yeah, it's the same like that. Just like giving only the identity that you want to give. That is all the ZKPs. Basically, we are talking in a Polkadot ecosystems. A lot of Polkadot parachain is already like researching for ZKP, starting like a year ago, maybe like 2 years ago. They're starting to researching. But there is for like the whole palette or the result of the ZKPs and implementation is not quite wide yet, because for creating a ZKP itself, we need to having like the cryptography expert and focus on that. So, and also maybe I will sharing you with Mandala chain. So the starting of Mandala chain, why we are creating our own blockchain. There is a lot of blockchain already there, but we creating our own blockchain that called Mandala chain. Why we do that? Because in Indonesia, the government is like working on silos. So like every single regency have their own autonomy, to having, and they own their own data. They own their own data, and sometimes like it's really difficult. They want to protect the data, but they need also the sharing the data. So because of this nature, basically the Indonesian government is working like decentralized. So we're creating Mandala chain to support this case. And our first case, why we creating Mandala chain is our identity, the KTP itself, our identity card. So in these mechanisms, we trying to implement ZKP the first time. But the problem that we have is we lack of cryptography expert, because to using a palette or algorithms outside of us, it still have a risk that the security will be breached. Because basically ZKP is like off-chain mechanisms. It's not its own chain, right? Is it right?
It's basically cryptography, so it can be implemented off-chain, it can be implemented on-chain.
I see,
But
yeah.
they implement it.
So this is because of that, we are saying that we need to having our own algorithms. We cannot just like revealing and showing to everyone, like using the specific palettes or protocol of cryptography. We need to creating one, and this is quite difficult to create it. That's why we focus on how to implementing ZKPs looks like, but without using the ZKP mechanism. So this is what is happening in Mandala chain. So the Mandala chain itself, we want to, it will be giving, changing every single how we seeing our data. And it's giving a lot of protection for our data, because for me myself, I have a problem before when people that using my KTP and they going to the online lending and using my KTP to lend. This is a true story. I get that kind of case, and I think that is the problem with our KTP is our KTP or our identity card is a naked identity. Everything is over there, including the sign, including our birth date, including where we birth, where our address is at. And if you can read the NFC or the data inside, all our biometric is over there. And this is really risks for us, like giving the data away like that. And to sharing our KTP is so easy now. It's like just take a picture and then sharing it. But the problem is we don't even understand what is the risk when we do this. People can using our data, people can using, for example, now is a politic era in Indonesia, right? So every single candidate can using our data that say that we are confirmed to support them, but basically we are not supporting this candidate. So yeah, my KTP is already in 3 candidates, and I don't even know who is that candidate. So this is what happening in Indonesia, and using ZKPs is will be a solution for us to it's also helping the government to having the right tools to protecting citizen data. So this is why ZKP is really important for us to implement, but even though it's important, it's still on the research. And how the ecosystem on Polkadot, they try to creating and want to researching and implementing ZKPs, it's like giving a right tools for what the sakes of our government. So we want to support it also.
Thank you for that very detailed and easy to imagine explanation, sir. Wow. Okay, so you both speak of that ZKP is very complicated and it still needs to be developed and also researched. How do you see development? How do you see ZKP development going in Polkadot in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? How do you see that in the future?
Okay. Well, to clarify, I mean, what is to be hit research of the KP is not about the protocol itself, but rather the implementation of crypto. So on the current state of Polkadot in ZKPs, there's already a few of chains that are researching to incorporate ZKPs into chains. There's Liminal, for example, in LF0. Well, they're scheduled to release on this year, but we'll just see. There's also Manta Network, but they only released the Canary Network, the Calamari, and they also have this Manta Pay, so it's like a payment service, but using ZKPs. And I think there's really a lot of chains that looking ways to incorporate ZKPs into their chain, but most of the ZKPs implementation research are going on the party level, not on the Polkadot core itself. So yeah, I think for like the commonly used is like there's ZK Snarks or maybe there's ZK Stars. Well, Manta uses ZK Stars for their implementation. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting, like a few years, let's say 2 or 3 years ahead.
Yeah. That's fast. Yes.
Yeah, so like what Zian said, there is 5 years, I think it's quite a long time. Maybe it will be releasing like the next year or maybe the year after that. But the case of ZKPs is not about the technology itself. The technology is already there. It's just the how to use it, how to implementing it, and finding the right use case to using ZKP is the key to making this technology worldwide and it's get the mass adoption. And in my side, I'm seeing that in finance industry and the government is the right entity that using ZKP. Now, some is the ZKPs is focused on the digital information, like the identity of email, identity of phone numbers. But how about we using this to like the citizen data, and then medical record. So this ZKP is one thing that I'm saying that medical record will be the one great use case for ZKPs also. And what we are seeing now, Indonesia is really high now. We have a regulation that in the end of this year, the writing or manual writing side of medical record is not allowed in all the hospital in around Indonesia, starting then early of next year. So every single medical record needs to be electronic medical record. So that's why there is a lot of investment is going on the hospital and healthcare to implementing medical record. But when we are speaking with the hospital, they are needing like infrastructure, they're protecting the medical record and doing the right mechanisms. Like for example, medical record in Indonesia, it needs to be held by the users. It's not the hospital, right? So the medical record can be forming like, I don't know, it's like NFTs or like DID, maybe decentralized identity inside like that, and then it's held by the users, the user itself or the patient. The hospital cannot see everything inside, but hospital can confirm everything that this guy is legit, this is his medical record. And when the patient is going to the hospital and then go to the doctors, he gives the access to the doctor. So this is how the regulation in Indonesia going on for the medical record. So with ZKPs, I think this nowadays, the hospital holding the data, it's really hard to like ask you the hospital and say, I want to get my medical record in Indonesia. It's really like, it's almost impossible. And then the second one is the doctor. It's not only the doctor that can see and read our medical record, including the nurse can do it though. This is not in the right mechanisms of medical record, electronic medical record. So with ZKP and blockchain, the regulation have a really right tools to implement. So like they need to understand about how the power of ZKPs, even though there is a really complicated term about ZKPs, but this is not about the complication of the ZKP, but how this technology can be implemented. And every single executive on the hospital or the government don't need to understand about the detail of the ZKP. This is Zian work. So let's hear think about that. But the point is how the leaders understand the benefit of the ZKPs and try to implementing it and like giving trust, like getting trust for the society or their users that their data is safe. Because for medical record, it's really dangerous. If someone else can see something is wrong with you, like for example, you're allergic, and then I hit you, and then I want to put something that you are really allergic with, and then something is happening with you, so I'm happy. So this is like that. And then the second one in Indonesia is all the hospital in Indonesia is not connected. This is the problem, and we don't need to make them connected, like integrated. The only thing that need to connect it is our data, our medical record. So better the medical record giving to the users, and we just take it for to go to every single hospital. They have data from us. So this is how the blockchain and how the ZKP will protecting everything that happened on the flow. So there's it.
Thank you. That was a very useful use case example, and it's very easy to see that being implemented. I mean, aside from the whole back office thing, you know, that's your job. But from an implementation wise, yeah, it's thank you for that. Well, but then, as you have mentioned, what are the security considerations when implementing ZKPs on blockchains? I mean, like obviously on Polkadot, but you know, in general as well, like what are these security implementations that you have to watch out for?
Okay, I think for the security, it's not, I mean, well, we use ZKP, so it's more secure, right? It's than traditional methods, but the concerning with the blockchain is rather in the performance side of things. Performance, yeah. So, well, let's take a look at an example like ZK Snarks. For example, ZK Snark is in Ethereum. It costs like 500,000 gas to just verify a single proof. And well, just to mention, the regular cost for like deploy smart contracts on our Ethereum is about 1 to 2 million gas. And so yeah, it's take a lot of gas, but I think. But it's only for verifying things. I mean, you don't really need to pay that cost because it's not broadcasted to another node, and so it's only worked on a single node. So you don't actually pay for that. But the cost, yeah, the performance is quite it's quite low, and I think there's actually a better alternative that there's ZK Stars, but I think Manta. Sorry, let's jump a little bit to Manta. I think they already implement like they're optimizing their algorithm on ZKPs so that instead of 30 seconds it takes to generate proofs, it only takes about 2 to 5 seconds. And well, yeah, the consideration is more in the performance side of things because it takes a lot of computational resources to do ZKP.
Yeah. So it's about the security side. Yeah, ZKP is the security. Blockchain is basically a security thing. So this is not about the security side. This is like it's about the implementation. The research that we need to do for ZK Snort or ZKP will be improved. Implementing it, I agree with Zian. It's not about is it secure or not, but how to make it more efficient and more effective. Like the time for the verification, getting like sorting, and then the efficiency, the gas fee, they need to be lower. And for the side of government side, they can create their own blockchain and then no need the gas fee, just using the technology. Yeah, so this is like, it is just a matter of how we optimize the technology. So this is not only about how to implementing it, but the next step is how we optimize the technology, and it's giving efficiency and effectivity, and also putting in the right use case. So for me, it's focused on that. The security itself, I don't think from blockchain itself, the security is on chain. Every time it's on chain, I think it's quite secure enough. The mechanism of off chain is we need to be careful, and the breach is happening. Yeah. So this is like off chain. We need to be careful, but once it's on chain, as long as the chain is decentralized, I think it's quite hard to compromise the mechanisms.
Great. So it's solid then, right? Just like 2 or 3 years, get it implemented, and it's gonna be solid security. Amazing. Hopefully. Okay, so the very last thing. Are there any regulatory or legal compliance considerations that projects using ZKPs on Polkadot or any other chains should take into account? Regulatory.
Well, there's nothing much that I could say about regulatory things, so because I'm not there, I'm an engineer. So, but I think the main concern for me is like when, let's say, you use ZKP on some application, right? For the user data. So there's I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a regulatory where you government can basically ask you for your user data. Okay, so in that sense, it's interesting, like, because how would you implement ZKPs with that in mind? So yeah, I think Anta can give more.
Yeah, so about the regulation, I was talking about the regulation of Indonesia. So blockchain itself is already regulated. So it's not crypto, it is different. Crypto is already regulated, but before crypto, blockchain is the first thing that regulated in Indonesia. How you can see it? You can see it in Indonesia on the corporate category for licensing. We have a blockchain developers category, blockchain company development category. There is, it's already on our law. So blockchain development is same like big data development, like maybe like e-commerce development. It's same like that. It's just on digital business. But the crypto, after that, crypto is there. So they put in the regulation of crypto as asset. It's not a cryptocurrency. So in Indonesia, there is no cryptocurrency. We know that crypto asset. So be careful if we say cryptocurrency, because our currency is rupiah. Yeah, and then for the ZKP itself, it's still far from that in Indonesia. The ZKP is still like a word of mouth in developers' side. Even though in blockchain, it's still heavy on developers. It's not on the end user yet. So the government, we in Bali Blockchain Centers, we are now discussion with Indonesian Blockchain Society, IBS. This is our association that researcher that is a state-owned company, BUM, and they creating an organization, and they are focused on being a voice of developers. So we are asking them to be our voice to the parliament or to the lawmaker that putting blockchain on the regulation. I mean, for example, if I can take it a little bit of the law in Indonesia about electronic government system, they have like the regulation of using cloud mechanisms. They have it. They already putting that on the law. So what I'm thinking is, with the right association and also right discussion with the government, we can put like blockchain on that law. When the blockchain is on that law, so a government don't have an option. They need to implement blockchain. So we need to do that first. So it is not about it's already regulated or not. It's already regulated, but we can put it at. This is the point. So in the regulatory, we need to put in the right space for ZKP and blockchain itself. So ZKP is in Indonesia, it's not quite high yet, but even blockchain is still not quite famous in Indonesia. It's still crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like that is still famous. So this is it.
Okay, so the conclusion is that regulatory-wise, it's not going to be difficult, but the difficult part is, again, the discussions and then discussing where and how it should be implemented and then at what time. And then, so it's more about the details and less about the regulatory itself.
Yes, so in the government, they they have a ground rule to implement the technology. So they need to putting on the paper of our law. There is for example, like protecting data, you can use blockchain. We need that word on a paper of our undang-undang or our black and white like that, and then the government will try to learn about that. But even though that it's still like that, there's a lot of government is trying to creating a learning about this. They are trying to create a bootcamp and like that.
Education, which is great because that means that there's sunny skies ahead of us. Blockchain, Web3 in general is going to have a very bright future in Indonesia. And we also hope that that can help Indonesia to rise and compete with other countries in every aspect there is. Well, I guess thank you so much for that. This is a very insightful discussion. Thank you so much. And guys, give it up as a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you, everyone. So again, thank you audiences for coming, and thank you our panelists, Ziad and Pa Anta, for having this lovely discussion. This is the end of a Block Talk number 8, ZKPs on Polkadot. We will see you all next time on Polkadot episode 9. Cheers!
Right.